talk to my,
All right.
all
Well,
right.
I would like to thank everybody for showing up today. We was having a little bit of technical issues, but we made it through it.
Yes.
With Miss Porch help, I'm very grateful for because I don't know what was going on. But I would like to welcome the SSS Trio students. If you're able to join us, I'm glad you made it. I hope y'all having a fantastic, blissful day. And purpose of our talk, of our presentation today is financial aid or FAFSA. I know a lot of students always come up to me, ask me, what is FAFSA? What is the acronym? So, and we got a special guest, none other than the financial aid director herself, and maybe she can explain everything that's going on with financial aid and explain FAFSA, which is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Hux, because is it the free application federal student aid? Is that what it is?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Good. Okay, okay.
The
Good
short
job.
word is FAFSA, and that's kind of like a tongue twister, but anyway, it's
Yeah.
all that for years, so.
Oh, yeah. Dang.
Well, I have a lot of information to tell y'all. Make sure you take some notes, and at any time you need to come see me, please come by my office. I'm available. You can email me or phone. My email address is phux961@halifaxcc.edu, and my phone number is 252-536-7244. All right, to start with, I'm going to talk about applying for financial aid. It's actually time now to start applying for the 25-26 academic year. And you can do that by going to www.studentaid.gov. Now, that will be based on 2023 income, and you will need the username and password to get logged in. And if you're current students and have already applied, you should already have that, what they call the Federal Student Aid ID, which is a username password, and you should already have that set up. If you forgot your username and password, I can't fix that for you. The Department of Ed will not let me fix it. I wish I could, but they won't. So you would have to go back and research and retrieve the username password and, follow the steps on that. Also, I would like to let you know that our institutional scholarships are now available online. So make sure you go to the HCC website and search the scholarships, and you can apply online, or you can print the PDF format form application and fill that out. Make sure you take note as to the guidelines for the scholarships, because that's very important. There's one section in there that tells you about your letter. So you do have to write a letter, and it'll give you some tips on what to put in that letter. So don't forget the scholarships. That's extra money that you can have, as far as financial aid. You can have that on top of having Pell Grant. One of the other things I want to talk about, because I got several topics, one of them is SAP, and that is Satisfactory Academic Progress. In order to qualify for financial aid, you must be meeting the Satisfactory Academic Progress policy, and that is set by the Department of Education. They put the rules out there for us, and we have to enforce them on the student. But there's three different sections of that, or topics, and one of them is GPA, the other one is 67% rule, and then another one is the 150% max time frame. GPA, that's the first one I'm going to talk about. Every student out here has two GPAs. You have a financial aid GPA, and you also have an academic GPA. Do not get the two confused. Financial aid GPA, we use that, and you got to have at least a 2.0. And we count everything. The Department of Ed requires us to count every class that you've taken out here in calculation towards this cumulative GPA. On the academic side, they only count grades. Say for instance, you took a class, English 111 class, and you got a F, you failed it. So that didn't give you a good GPA for that. So you repeated the class and you got an A in it. Well, on the academic side, you are given forgiveness for the F grade, and only the A grade will calculate in your academic GPA. However, on the financial aid side, we have to count the F and the A. And no, I did not create that rule. That, just like I said, it came from the Department of Ed, and we have to follow the rule. So anyway, all right, 67% rule. When a student attempts courses, they have to be, at the end of the term, they have to be successfully completing at least 67% of what they attempt. It is measured in credit hours. And I'll give you maybe a simple math example. Say, for instance, you had 4 classes, and all 4 classes were 3 credits apiece. You passed all 4 classes, then you would have completed 100% of what you attempted. Well, say for instance, you dropped 2 of those classes, which means you attempted 12, and you passed the other 2 classes. So you would have attempted 12, but only earned 6. Well, if you do the calculation, you would be at 50% completion. Then that means you're not meeting that 67% rule, because you have to be completing at least 67%. So then that would kind of mess you up with the SAP policy for that. Then the next one, it's 150% max time frame. A student has, the Department of Ed will allow a student to attempt credits towards completing their degree up to 1.5 the length of time it takes to get that degree. And that, again, is measured in credit hours. So for an example, if you were taking, and I'm just throwing this out there, just say you're taking an associate program, and it requires 60 credits for you to get that degree. Well, if you take the 60 credits, and I didn't do this in advance, so 60 credits and multiply it by 1.5, which is 150%, that means you can attempt up to 90 credits in order towards getting this degree before you max out on 150% max time frame. So that should give the students time enough to complete the program. But when students decide to change majors, that could mess them up and make them where they're approaching that 150% or may possibly even exceed the 150%. So keep in mind, when you start in a program, try to finish it. Don't wait till you get 3/4 of the way through the program and then decide to change it to something totally different. That's when you can run into issues with the 150% max time frame. Now, if the students find themselves not making SAP, for the first time, they are placed on what we call warning status. After that, if they come another semester and their cumulative totals are not meeting the SAP policy, then they would be placed on financial aid suspension. And that's not saying you're suspended from coming to school. It's saying that you must make other arrangements to pay for your tuition and books and whatever your charges are. Now, sometimes students have extenuating circumstances that cause them to not be making SAP. And just to give you an example, say for instance, your first semester you came here and you ended up having to drop some classes or fail some classes because maybe you got sick and was in the hospital for 2 weeks and you couldn't catch up your work. So you couldn't catch it up. So you ended up not doing well. So that put you maybe on warning. Um, and maybe it ended up you had to withdraw from everything. So that gave you a 0% completion rate, which means you're not meeting the 67% rule. Say, for instance, you come back the next semester and repeat the same identical classes and you passed them all. You could have made straight A's. Well, technically, you would be on financial aid suspension because everything's cumulative. When you put the two together, the 2 semesters together, you still wouldn't be making the 67% rule. And I'll give you some figures on that as an example. Say, for instance, your first semester, you were 12 credits. You withdrew from everything. So that means you had 0% completion rate. You come back the second semester, take 12 credits, and you've passed everything. That's 100% completion rate. But we have to combine the 2 semesters together and make them cumulative, which means you would have attempted a total of 24 credits, but only earned 12 of them, which is half. That's why on that second semester, you would end up being on financial aid suspension because of it. Now, again, if you have an extenuating circumstance, like I had just mentioned, you can come in and do a financial aid appeal. And we will walk you through that to help you get that documentation and application or form filled out. And hopefully we can get you back on track if that happens. But hopefully that won't happen to any of you. So, but anyway, I did want to mention that. There's another thing called LEU, which is lifetime eligibility used. A student can receive financial aid for up to 600%, which is equivalent to 6 years, or if you break it down further than that, it's 12 full-time semesters. Once you have reached your lifetime limit on receiving Pell Grant, you can't get it anymore. And there's not any appeal for that. You can't appeal that one. So I did want to mention that. Another thing, a lot of students don't realize this, but we have to do what we call a recalculation for federal and state aid. If a student has classes that does not start at the beginning of the semester, say they have some, like this semester, you have January classes. Say you have 9 credits that started in January, but you also have a mini semester class that starts in March, which is 3 credits. Well, when we get ready to post financial aid for the first posting, we would only calculate the classes that started in January. And we would pay based on those credits, which would be 9, which would be pretty much 75% of your award. Now, come March, when that March class starts, we would turn around and pay you for the additional credits up to the max, which would be 12. So if you got a 3 credit hour class that starts in March, we would turn around and post another 25% of your money, which will give you a total of 100% of your financial aid. Now, there's a little twist in that students may not be aware of, so make a note. The Department of Ed, they will allow us to pay students additional money for classes that start late. So that would be an increase in their money. But if we do that, we also, if the students' credit hours decrease, we also have to decrease their money. So there are sometimes that students sign up for, just say they were 12 credits in January, and they also had a late starting class. But before that class started, they ended up dropping a couple of the classes that started in January, which put them at half time. You know, we paid them full time, but now they're only half time. Then we add the credits to this class that's coming up in March. When we have to do the recalculation, it may only show that you're a total of 9 credits. Then we have to go back and look and see, well, what did we pay? We would say, okay, well, we paid you full time for 12 credits. Now you're only a total of 9. So now that student would owe money back instead of getting money. So keep in mind when you drop classes and have late starting classes, it could interfere with how much financial aid you have already received, or it could mean that you don't get an additional payment as well, because we do have it where it would fall that way as well. Um, Now, another thing, emergency funds. I want to let all students know this. We have some emergency funds here available, and it's called what we call finish line grant funds. And that is one of the hardest pots of money, or pot of money that it's hard to spend it because there's so many guidelines to it. It's got to be unforeseen. Well, I got notification just a few weeks ago that due to the inclement weather, that we can pay light bills without having to go through a lot of red tape. Now, the light bill cannot be past due. So if it's an old bill, if you owe a past due amount, you have to pay that before we can pay the current amount. And I tried my best to see, well, what if we just pay the amount that says the current? Can we still do that? They said, nope, can't do it. I said, oh, well. So anyway, if you have a light bill that is not past due, please come to the financial aid office and see us with the bill, and we will go from there and fill out the application to get that paid. You do have to have completed 25% of your program. And the good thing about that is we can count the credits that you're currently enrolled in towards that 25%. So, either way, if you have a light bill, please come by and see me. The light bill needs to be in your name, or if you are a dependent student, then it can be in your parents' name. So you can bring that light bill in and we can pay it. Now, we can also extend this through April with the issue with the inclement weather and the higher cost of light bills. So we can extend it through April. I did get a word on that. So once the funds are gone, it's gone. So it's going to be first come, first serve. So the quicker you get in here, yeah, the better chances you have of getting those funds. So, do we have, how many students, do we have? Do you know out here on?
I want to say, is it 4 or 5, I
Okay.
believe.
Does anybody have any questions at all as to what, I've went over? I can explain in more detail if you have questions or concerns.
Now, I have a question, Miss Hugs.
Okay.
In order to receive these federal funds and financial aid, what is the eligibility? What would they need to do?
It's based on income and household size. So when they do the application, um, it's going to ask them all those necessary questions. It's going to ask for like tax returns, income, household size. If they're dependent students, then they would have to provide parents' information. Um, so they would have to go in and log in. The parent would have to actually go in and create a username password as well and sign that in, and complete it.
Okay. Because I've seen them, because it's been a long time since I've assisted a student with their FAFSA, and I seen a new, I don't know if it's still there, like they can drag um they can pull the IRS Gov and tax returns into its to FAFSA. Is that still operative?
Yes. Yes, and they've changed it a lot over the 2 years ago. They changed the application process drastically. It's supposed to be what they call simplified.
Mhm.
Uh, it went from 10 pages to 22.
Oh.
That's not, I don't know that that's simplified to me, but it's actually better. It helps. It's better. Um, anytime you have something that's drastically changed, it's going to like throw up red flags everywhere, and people's going to be like, "Oh, that's just too much changes and they messed it up and all that." But actually, I think it's going to end up being better. The only thing that I do not like about there's a thing that I don't like about it is in the past, if you had a dependent student, that parent could sit through that same session and go ahead and put their information in. You can't do it anymore. The student goes in and puts their information in, and then they have to invite the parent to come in, and then the parent has to go to open it up and put their information in. And so it's not in the same session. Sometimes it also makes the parent wait 1 to 3 business days after setting up their username and password before they can even go in and put their information in. So that kind of throws it off for me. I don't like that part of it. I wish, maybe the Department of Ed will fix that. So maybe when I go to the conference, I'm going to suggest it. Another thing, this is a tip right here for filling out the FAFSA. And we found this out last year. When students are applying and they skip over the question about which high school that they graduated from. If you skip that and don't put that information in, then it's going to flag that application and we cannot award the student. We can't go in and fix it. The student has to go back to the website themselves to fix it. Well, the issue was when you go back to fix it, you go to the page where you have to answer that question. The question was not there on the page. So it's like, oh my God, well, where did the question go? And I was like, wow. So we found out where the question was. The Department of Ed says when you get to the page that it's supposed to be on, right down at the bottom of the screen, there's you got previous and next. You have to get on that page and hit previous and then hit previous again, and then the question will pop up. Now, who's going to know that?
Not me.
Who's going to know it? So the best thing is do not skip over that high school question. You need to answer that question. So, do I have any students that needs a question asked or answered? Is somebody trying to click in? Hmm.
Um, no, but I have a question then. It says they're not since someone doesn't what what would be what would be a good time for the student to fill out that FAFSA? Because I know that it gets extremely busy certain times of the year. When would be a good time for them to fill out the FAFSA?
Usually, usually October the 1st would be when they start opening up the application process, but it was delayed to December. So as soon as they open it up, that would be my suggestion is to go ahead and apply right then. Don't wait till the last minute because it takes 3 to 5 working days for us to get it, even after the student submits it online. So it's not going to be instant. And that could run into issues if they wait right the day before classes start, or week before classes start. And then when it comes in, they find out that, oh, there's errors, it's got to be fixed, you know. So I wouldn't wait to the last minute. I would go ahead and put it in early as possible. But hopefully they're going to get all the kinks worked out and maybe they can have it where um, it's going to be opened back up on October the 1st for the next following academic year. That would be for 26, 27. Keep in mind that if a student goes out there right now to complete the application, there's going to be two out there. There's going to be a 2024 application. That one is the one that is good for now. It started actually last fall, and it's good for this spring semester, and it'll run through the summer. Now, the 2025-26 application, that'll start this coming August, which is our beginning of fall semester, so. And that'll run all the way to next year.
And would that cover if the student wanted to participate in summer school?
The one that's 24-25 is for now. That'll run for the summer. Yep. That'll be summer.
Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Okay. Anyone else has a question or comment for Ms. Hucks while we have her?
I do have something else. I got
Oh,
one more thing. Haha. Um, many, I don't know if it's this group of students, but I know if you have parents that were out here taking college courses, some time back or whatever, or prior to 2 years ago, um, students were always paid based on credit hours, like if they were full-time 12 or more, or if they were three-quarter time, that meant 9 to 11 credits. Half-time was 6 to 8, and less than half-time was 5 or less. And you'd get a set amount for those four different enrollment statuses. Well, they changed that. That was one of the changes last year. You get paid percentages now, and it's based on per credit hour up to 12. So 12 credit hours will give you 100%. 10 credit hours will give you 92%. Well, no, 83, excuse me. I'm looking at the chart here, my little cheat chart. All right. 12 credits is 100%. 11 credits would be 92%. 10 would be 83%. 9 would be 75%. And to give you just a little bit of information on the change and how it impacts the aid that a student received. In the past, between 9 and 11 credits, they would get 75% of their money, regardless whether you were 9, 10, or 11, right? Well, now, if you're 9 credits, you get 75%, but if you're 10 credits, you get 83%. 11 credits, you get 92%. So that's a difference. So that's a good thing. So anyway, I wanted to throw that out there. So that's another change that has occurred. So
okay, fantastic. Anyone has any questions, comments for Ms. Hucks?
if at any time you have any questions at all, feel free to come to the office. We can talk with you personal, one-on-one. It doesn't matter.
All right. Well, yes, women.
Uh-uh.
Can you see it, Ms. Hucks?
Yes, when do I need to turn in this year's tax documents? We don't request the documents not unless the student is selected for verification. So, and we're not going to start processing the 25-26 application until probably I'm going to say April or May. Technically, we might do it a little sooner, but I don't like to, I want to say April or May. So students should start hearing something from us in reference to the 25-26 application. But you won't need to bring in any documents unless we ask for them, they need it for that.
Okay.
You had to bring, so you must have been selected last year for verification. So you might get selected again, but usually, what you have to do is you get the IRS to import it into the application. You have to put that in there like that.
Any more questions? Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Welcome, Miss Crystal.
Yeah. Don't forget to do this scholarship application.
Oh, yes, yes.
Deadline is usually May the 30th on that. I think it might be 29th or something, whatever the last day of the working day of the month, I think is what it'll be. But please do that. Don't forget about the emergency funds because I want to spend this money. I want to give it away. And that's going to be the easy, way that I can to give it away because they opened it up for inclement weather emergencies without having to do a lot of red tape to get it. Um, so anyway, that should be pretty simple.
Yes, ma'am, man. Don't forget about everybody. Don't forget about the TRIO grants that we offer here. That's a little bit extra money as well, and some Pell grants.
Mhm.
Myself, Ms. Z, Ms. Porcher, and Mr. Hardy sent out some applications. So make sure y'all get them in to us so we can get y'all that little bit of extra money. That's extra book money. If you need a
Right.
laptop or computer or
Mhm.
personal, hey, get that to us.
Um, I can't think of anything. Well, I can think of something else. See, I told you I could go on all
Oh,
day.
no,
I could
hey,
go on all day.
hey,
Federal work study, that's another thing. Now we don't currently have any funds, but if you're interested in the federal work study program, then students can work in between class time to earn extra cash for college. And I'm gonna throw this out there. I ain't gonna call no names, but I do want to throw this out there. A lot of times we have students that are receiving benefits through social services. So they're like, well, struggling now trying to go to school. And if I go to work anywhere, they're gonna cut my benefits. And I can't afford at this time to have those benefits cut, you know. Well, if you do federal work study, they cannot cut those benefits.
wow. Hey, I
So
didn't know.
I wanted to throw that out there.
Oh,
It pays $11 an hour right now. I may try to have that increased in the fall to something a little bit more than $11 an hour. Um, and again, it's to work around the student's schedule and they can earn extra cash for college. We're going to be really looking into trying to get a student as a grammar school tutor at some of the area grammar schools for the upcoming fall because we do have to spend some of the money in off-campus nonprofit, and one of them has to at least be a tutor. So that's going to be an option. Also, we have on-campus job opportunities. We have a financial aid office. We have somebody here as a work study student in the library. And then there could be other various offices, that can get a work study student, and the student can get that extra money. So,
now Miss Hux, Miss Crystal just message. She said, if we did that, are our kids eligible for daycare on campus?
we don't have the campus daycare center anymore. That's like CADA. It's the building that we had used years ago when we had our on-campus daycare. They rent it out now, I believe. I think they rented the space, so that's through CADA. We don't have the child care center anymore. Now we do have child care funding. Um, of course, right now we don't because we've, awarded it all out for the year. But come fall semester, if you have children and you want to put them in a daycare, or if you have them in a private sitter, we can pay them too. I do want to throw this out there about the private sitters though. A lot of times you have like an elderly person, grandma or somebody like that watching your child while you go to school. And if you pay them, if they go through an agency and get paid, then they have to file it on taxes. So a lot of times they don't want to do that. But we do pay private sitters, but they will get a 1099 at the beginning of the year and it's required to file it on tax.
Okay.
I do want to throw that out there. We do not pick and choose your daycare provider. That's up to the student. It's, yeah, so that could help. Let's
Told me
see.
something.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something else. I do know that they're pushing this, advertising a lot of this next NC scholarship. And a lot of students call me up and say, well, what do I do to apply for that? Well, you don't do a separate application for that. You will complete the FAFSA and that puts you in the hat for both of them. It also puts you in the hat for federal SEOG, which is another type of grant. You don't have to fill out a separate application. It's all done through the FAFSA. Let me see. Let me see if I got my little cheat sheet here and see if I can come up with something else. Oh, purchasing books. We didn't talk about purchasing books. Purchasing books, of course, you do that online. They have something now called, what is it, Cengage? And and it's like, if it's charged on your schedule when you get it, and it's included in your tuition and fees and stuff on the schedule, then if you're taking any class for that semester, say you got 3 classes that require it, that one Cengage would suffice and be for all those classes that for that term. So you don't need to go out there to the bookstore and order that as, as a separate thing. You've already got it. Another thing about the bookstore, when you go out there online to order books, you need to make sure you use your HCC Gmail and set up an account using that HCC Gmail account with the bookstore. There's also a cutoff date for ordering books using financial aid. So usually it's within, probably a couple of weeks after the classes start, but we'll post those dates. Usually we send an email out to students. So make sure if you have to order any books, to do that before the last day. Because once we cut it off, we can't open it back up because we have to process payments. And if we're processing payments, we can't have charging going on at that time.
Right. Markayla, she just texted. She said, "So if I already completed my FAFSA, does that mean I am eligible for those scholarships that you mentioned earlier?"
The SEOG, the NC Next, yeah, those scholarships, it automatically puts you in the hat for those. Now, as far as the work study and childcare, you have to fill out a separate one for that. And we have those applications, they're online, or you can come to the office and we can get that for you. Also, now our institutional scholarships, that's a separate one. Now, we have a long list of scholarships that are available. You do not have to do an application for each scholarship. You do one application for the institutional scholarships and it'll put you in the hat for whichever one you qualify for. And it goes through a scoring system. We do not handpick scholarships for students. It's based on criteria set by the donor, and it's put into a database, and it sorts those students out in order as to eligibility, as to the scoring process. But it's pretty cool. So.
Right. Yes.
And I want to put this out there, if there's anybody in industrial systems, welding programs, stuff like that, those types of courses, we had 3 scholarships that we were not able to give out because not one student applied that was in those programs. About $5,000. Guess what?
I have a quick question in reference to the bookstore that you were talking about, the Cengage program. So I'm currently in my Principles of Management class that uses that program, And on Monday, I will be starting my intro to business, which will also use the same software. Will I be able to access both books at the same time? Because my principles of management class does continue till May.
Was that charged on your schedule, or did you order it?
I charged it through the financial aid back in January, and
But was
both
it
of
on
them.
your schedule?
Yes, ma'am.
The
Yes, ma'am.
Cengage charges were on your actual schedule, and you did not go to the bookstore and order the Cengage, right?
Yeah, I ordered it back in January.
So you did go to the bookstore and
Yes,
order it.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I
And
think I had
did the
contacted you back in January because I was having a lot of problems with the financial aid showing up on my bookstore account.
Did you get the lifetime, well, the limited or is unlimited? It's unlimited, I think it's called.
It's a 4-month subscription.
But is it unlimited? There's a difference.
I can't check right now because my daughter's actually in a Zoom
Yeah.
meeting on the desktop.
That's something you may want to contact the instructor or either the bookstore. Contact the bookstore to see.
Okay.
Like I said, when they put it on the student's actual schedule and charge them that way, it gives them unlimited for the semester, and it allows them, if 2, 3, 4 classes, they all use that one Cengage. Now, when you order it physically online through the bookstore, I'm not for sure how that one will work. But if you got unlimited, I would call them up. I would call that bookstore number and ask them, because I would not go back out there and repurchase something that, they can just, use that.
Yeah, they ended up sending me a actual paperback book for the Principles of Management class, but I never got the book for the Intro to Business class that I'll be starting on Monday. So maybe
I would
this
call them.
okay, I will.
Call them.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, and I hope they've opened it up. You know what, that reminds me, I might need to remind them to open it up to make sure students are, even though I've done sent the dates in there, they might not have opened it up for students to charge. So if you end up finding yourself having to order something else and they say, oh, your financial aid's not showing up, let me know so that I can see what's going on with it.
Hey, you're welcome, Miss Crystal. Okay, well, I had to cut this short because I know Miss Hooks is a very busy woman, and
If you sit there long enough, I might find some
yeah.
other.
But if anybody has any questions, do you what's the new location, your new location number?
Well, we don't have a room number yet.
Oh, okay.
We do not have a room number yet, but it's in the 300 building. It's in the same building where we were, except that most likely when you come in the door where the cafeteria is or was, those tables, the lunch area, we're right there. We're right there beside it. So, right across from what they call the quiet room where the ping pong table is. So we're in that room. It's in the 300 building.
Oh, yes, and then we can always show on myself, Ms. Z, Ms. Porch, Mr. Hardy. We'll
That's right.
show you away.
We're right around the corner.
Yes.
Around the corner.
Great.
Okay.
Okay. I would like to,
Modeling, but it's a good thing.
oh yeah. Would like to thank you, Miss Hucks, yourself, and like I said, go check out Miss Hucks for all your financial aid needs, and also Miss Webb. She wasn't able to join us today, so she's another one of our financial aid counselors. Check them out in the 300 building. Once again, I'd like to thank you, Miss Hucks, for joining us. I know you're a very busy woman, especially around this time of year. And I'd like to thank my colleagues, Ms. Zollicoffer, Ms. Porch, and Mr. Hardy, for giving me this opportunity to bring this to the students. And I also like to really thank the students for joining in. Some of y'all questions really had me thinking because I didn't even know a lot of it. I did not know that y'all pay for childcare.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
new to me.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it's been very informative. I'd like to thank you, Ms. Hooks. I hope have you again on our platform again soon.
Oh, wow. Cool. I did talk to me about an hour.
Yeah.
All righty. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you. You have a blessed one, Ms. Hooks.
You too.
Thank
Bye-bye.